Hello, 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 everyone. It's your man NIC from the Urban Collective Show alongside.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Bernadine Truth. So excited to be here on air with you all. There's been quite the week, quite the 2 weeks since we've been on air. As always, we love to check in with one another as co-hosts and then give you all a breakdown of the week that was and just highlight a couple of events that have taken place since the last time we were on air, whether it's regarding pop culture, sports, or local news and politics. But before I jump into all of that, NIC, how are you doing today?
I am doing good now. I was suffering this past weekend.
Oh no.
I took my second COVID shots. I am fully vaccinated, y'all. I'm ready to go out. Outside is calling me. So that is the only reason that I really went and took it. But it kicked my butt. The second shot kicked my butt. So just be ready when you take that because it affects everyone differently. I took it on Friday, Friday night-ish. Saturday I was good. Saturday midday I started having a fever. Also going into Saturday night, I had the event to go to. I couldn't miss, but I'm at the event literally like having hot flashes. So that was crazy. Sunday I had like the back of my neck, headache all day. It kind of subdued on Monday a little bit. So I'm finally out of that. No pain, no body aches and anything like that. So it took about 2 days for me. A lot of people tell you the day after or something is when it really affects you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing so much better. I still think about whether or not I'm going to take the vaccine. As a person who had COVID before, just thinking about whether or not my antibodies are still in full effect. So that's actually a test I'm going to take before I go forward with the vaccine is see what my antibody level is, because if I do have it, if I do have my antibodies still active in my system, I don't think it makes the most sense to move forward with the vaccine at this time, given that a vaccine places antibodies in your body. And if I already have them, then it almost like defeats the purpose a bit. At least that's what I've been told. So we'll continue to see.
I want to ask more questions about that. We'll probably try to bring someone on to see about that, because I've heard what you're saying, and I've had other people be like, nope, you still need to take it. So
I mean, it all depends. I think it depends on where people are at with it as well. I think, I don't know how much traveling I'm doing like out of the country, let alone like out of the state right now. So we'll see. But I mean, I think that I am happy for those who are able to take it or who have decided to take it. I support it. I think, in the beginning, there were mixed emotions and reactions for folks, right? Myself included, of whether or not I'm going to go forward with it. And I think that so long as people truly do feel better and feel more comfortable and our numbers are going down, then we must do what we have to do. I just really, from the bottom of my heart, hope that 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that there's no reporting of major life-threatening challenges and issues to folks who have taken it. As far as like how I'm doing, I think I'm doing all right. It's final seasons for school right now, and I feel like my energy is a little low. I think studying a lot takes a lot from a person. And then when you study and you think you know information, and then you sit for an exam and you're like, what is
it? I do not miss those days.
It's not fun. So we'll see how I continue to be a student, if at all I do.
You continue, trust me.
No, I mean, but that's part of it, where everyone's like, no, you got this, and it's just like, no, it's really like hard and disheartening, like for real.
Yeah, you got 1 year underneath your belt. They always say the first year of law school is always the hardest, because you have to learn how to relearn how to study again, especially for someone
and study a different language and way of studying. So I think the hardest part is for me is going through it virtually, right? Like not having study space, not having access to peers, not having access to my staff, like the faculty, just not being fully immersed in the experience is isolating, right? And so then you like your main mode of checkpoints are yourself. So I'm like, if you don't know, it's like my left side to my right side. It's like, Bernadine, you know what this chapter's talking about? I don't really know. Like, let's record a little bit. I really thought about that segment right there. And I'm like, who knows? So God be the Lord, right? So, we'll see how that goes. But it's like, I don't know. I have 2 more finals left, and we'll continue to see what progress looks like. But I won't even go down that rabbit hole, y'all, because it's going to take a lot to get me out of it. Just know that I am here with you all this evening.
You'll do good. You'll do good. I believe in you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see how much of myself I can believe in. Well, I'm so serious. For the world of week that was and information and updates, though, let's jump into it. I like to start. I mean, I typically like to end with pop culture, but I think for this one, I like to start with pop culture because it was recently announced, like yesterday, that the Black Panther sequel is coming out officially July 8th, 2021. Can't wait. Although I'm a little disappointed by the name. I'm like, oh, so what's this one gonna be called? It's like Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm like, but we've always said Wakanda Forever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's cool, but
because in the movies, when you follow the timeline, they actually came out now. So because in the movies or in that Marvel universe, Wakanda was hidden. You know, they thought they were just a third world country. So now they actually are opening up their borders and saying, no, we're this powerful, we're a Black powerful country and everything. So they're going to try to focus on the country and everything versus just on the Black Panther by himself.
Got it.
So,
well, I am excited to see it. You know, for those of you who don't know, right? Bosman was T'Challa in this movie, and unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 43. Last August has been a really, really sad. You know, he was dealing with cancer on the low. I say that in the sense that, like, he really went through it privately. You know, he didn't want people to treat him any differently. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want that to be the focal point of what he was doing. And even on set, you know, he was battling cancer. And so, you know, the producers and the director said that they intentionally did not put another Boseman in the movie or T'Challa, you know, in this film. But it was interesting because the previews highlighted him, you know. So I'm also like, you know, the trailer, highlighted him. So I'm curious to see how much of his, even if it's not his face, but just how much of his presence one could feel in the movie.
Will be in the movie.
Continue to stay tuned, y'all. Black Panther 2, Black Panther Wakanda Forever all day will be coming out July 8th, 2021. If you don't know, now you know, and I can't wait for y'all to watch it because I know we're going to, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Yes. I can't wait to go back to the movies, just in general. And other pop culture news, the celebrities are feeling it just like us, y'all. You know, a lot of them have been quarantined and not able to exercise and have gained some weight. Unfortunately, we don't have it like the celebrities and being able to document it. You have Will Smith himself, who is, you know, for Bad Boys and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He is going to try to lose some weight and get back in shape. He posted a picture the other day of himself saying this is the worst shape he's been in his life. And just basically having a little beer belly, like not shaved and everything like that. But it's going to be documented on YouTube as a series to hopefully help motivate people to get back in shape and help lose some of this pandemic weight that a lot of people have added on because you're just sitting in the house eating all day and night. You get up and go to your desk, which is 5 steps away from you most of the time, or downstairs, and you're not really going around and walking around and exercising. People are not going to the gym as much. So hopefully this will be a trend and gets everyone going back to the gym and everyone thinking about their weight and their health for it.
I know I've been thinking about my weight and my health. I'm like, the minute my last final is submitted, I am back in the gym.
Who you telling?
This just is not it. Eating. I mean, and the thing is, it's like you don't even have to eat a lot. You're just not moving, and the lack of movement makes such a difference. And then if you do end up eating like some fattening food one day, like having the burger, having the pizza, having the drink, like you just think, you know, back in the day, you'd be like, oh, you know, like, you know, those calories add up. But when you're to have zero movement, I mean, those calories just never move.
They add up. And then you find yourself just like, I know in the beginning, there was a lot of people that was just like eating extra because they're like, oh, this is going to be around just for a month or two or whatever. We'll be back out soon. So people were loading up on food and you would walk in your house. You had all types of snacks and stuff. I had to stop buying snacks. I'm like, nope, I'm cookies. And
I'm done. No. I'm done. I'm like, I haven't gone out for drinks in so long. I'm just like, I'm done because like I still don't even know what it's like to wear real clothes. I don't know what it's like to put makeup on. I don't know what
that
it's
was
like
me this past weekend. Like I had to go to a wedding and like my wife and I, she was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've been in heels and almost a year. Like
I went out in heels twice. The first time I was holding on to air, God, and holes. And pre-pandemic, for those of you who don't know, pre-pandemic, I was in heels all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I'm like not even
where you going?
Like all the time. Like right, going to the gas station, got my heels on. So now I'm like, wow, my feet don't know what to do. They're just like, what is this level of confinement? This makes no sense. So there's that. But then it's also the clothes. We said this before. Clothes just don't fit the same way. So
yes.
More power to you. Continue to inspire people. I know so many people have also on the flip side actually have committed to really changing up their diets already for during the entire pandemic, and other people have gotten into fitness during the pandemic for their sanity, right? So I think depending on how a person is functioning during this time, like you're on either side of the spectrum, and then there are those of us who are somewhere in between. So for everybody who's out there trying to get fit, do it. It's a mindset though more than anything. So it's not about looking and comparing yourself to somebody else, but about being the best version of yourself inside and out. And I say that to you all, also reminding myself of that, because I've come down hard on myself a lot by the weight gain I've had during this pandemic.
So. Yeah, man. You're not the only one. Like, I was trying to unclose. I was like, oh, no. I was like, no, I got to change. And then Celeste, you're not helping with the food stuff you be putting on. I don't know if you see her Instagram. She be putting all this food that she be making. And I'm like, okay, it's making me more hungry. Like, I need to stop following food channels and stuff like that. That's not any help.
No, it's true. Yeah. I'm still waiting for you to drop off a meal. I'll text you to your drop because you gotta hold me down. I expect it like next week. Thank you very much. Last home stretch of finals. But moving on to the world of actually, let's go to sports. The world of sports. Yeah. I just want to take a moment. This passing took place a couple of weeks ago now, April 21st, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Boston's I would say one of the most impactful young people in the world of sports in the city of Boston. As of late, Terrence Clark, he passed away April 21st at the age of 19. He was playing basketball for the University of Kentucky. He grew up playing ball in the streets of Boston and a part of so many Boston programs. When he passed away, I remember my timeline showcasing a number of my friends who work in the world of basketball, who train, who coach, who do whatever the case may be. And so many of them physically were in the same space as Terrence as he was growing up in the city. And so my heart goes out to the Clark family. My heart goes out to your mom. My heart goes out to your dad. He was on track to go be part of the NBA. That's actually why he was in LA to begin with, which is unfortunately where he lost his life due to a car accident. You know, I followed him a little bit and I started watching some of his videos. And for such a young person, he was so passionate and so committed to living a better life, you know, and not, he really was committed to sports. He said, like, basketball was my plan. He was just like, you know, there's some people in Boston, and speaking about himself and his peer group, who are either super committed to sports or are in the world of drugs or try to do both. But he himself was somebody who wanted to solely focus on sports. And so that's what he was doing. And he had a best friend that went along the journey with him. And he just continued to climb the ranks, so much so that even as an injured sports player in the world of basketball, his freshman year, he was still being considered for the NBA. And so I look at all of that and I say, you know, my heart breaks for the family. My heart breaks for you. May you continue to rest in peace. But also, may the people who are connected to you or who will continue to live and hear your story carry your legacy with them, because I do believe at 19 years old to have passed away with disregard, knowing what his future was lined up to be, he passed away for a reason. And I don't necessarily know what that is yet and that greater impact, but I know that there will be one.
Yeah. So yeah, rest in peace, Terrence. Shout out to the family. We'll keep you in our prayers always. In other local sports news, you have the New England Patriots that just held their NFL draft, and they went and got the quarterback at the 15th pick. His name is Mac Jones. He came from Alabama as a quarterback, won the national title. A lot of people, including myself, was hoping that Belichick traded up and went after Justin Fields, who is a mobile quarterback, and is supposed to, on paper, be better. They could have traded up, but they didn't trade up. They ended up waiting. And Mac Jones is not a bad pick. It's just, I guess, like personal opinion of myself and others that he should have went after Justin Fields and everything. But we'll see. They had a good draft. They picked a lot of positions that they needed inside on defense, linebackers, and everything like that, and tackles to help them out on there. And hopefully this season will be better. We will hopefully get back in the playoffs. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, and we'll see what happens. But shout out to the Patriots and welcome to New England, Mac Jones, if you're listening to this.
All right. Moving forward with the world of local news. Y'all, we got an election coming up, and I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, we are going to vote for our next mayor in the city of Boston. Currently, right now, we have acting Mayor Kim Janey, who in many ways is highlighted first as the first Black woman to assume such role, as the first person of color to assume this role, right, in the city of Boston. And just as the first woman, I mean, again, right, so Black woman, Black. I'll say that again. I'm just saying, I'm like, the racial element is truly significant. We had a number of other states and cities who already had, a number of other cities that already had their first Black mayors. And so here we are finally being able to catch up in the city of Boston. But nonetheless, we have an election coming up. And so most recently, the Boston City Council had agreed to push the preliminary mayoral election up to September 14th, which means that it's moving up an additional week. Given everything that's going on with COVID, people still want to ensure that constituents have enough time to cast a vote, that votes are in fact counted, that the world is in fact taking into consideration all of those we'd like to consider for this election, this one coming up. And so again, people stay tuned. For those of you who truly do live and are residents in the city of Boston, please pay attention to all elements of local politics, but especially for your mayors, right? And people who are running for city councilor, which is also taking place right now. So pay attention to those who are truly advocating for you, for your community. Fun fact for those of you who don't know, the first streets and neighborhoods and zones that get a lot of the support when it comes time to, like, I don't know, for example, snow cleanup or fixing potholes or just taking care of your streets, typically are the ones that are typically the streets that have high representation for voting. And so I need you all to go out there, cast your votes, make your voices be known, and take care of your streets, but most importantly, take care of your local neighbors by making sure that the best person to represent you is in fact the individual in office.
Yes, it matters. I know a lot of people, they care about the presidential election, and after the presidential election happens, it's like, forget about everything else. It matters, everyone, especially if you live in the city of Boston, you work in the city of Boston, and you're paying taxes into the city. You want to make sure the person that is in charge and knowing how to distribute your money that you're being taken out of your paycheck, that's being taken out of your paycheck, is well represented, is being done the right way. So make sure you go out and vote. They are moving it up. Hopefully it does happen and they move it up a little bit early, give people more time to vote and everything for that. So go vote, y'all. It matters. Do not just let it rely on the other people. And then when you start complaining,
like potholes, schools, resources, access, local, all of that is local. So
yes,
take care of your backyard in order to be able to explore the rest of the world is my hope and my goal. So Kim Janey still has to, acting Mayor Kim Janey still has to approve this motion, but I think it would be approved because I think Marty Walsh also tried to push it forward before he left, just again in consideration of everything that's going on in our world. So let's make sure, again, regardless of if they move it up or not, that you just go out there and cast a vote. Local politics in any neighborhood truly makes a difference.
Yes, y'all. And in national news, you have the United States now has fully vaccinated more than 100 million people against COVID-19, according to the U.S. Center for Disease and Control and Prevention. It's a big milestone that President Biden had set, and they were able to reach it within his first 100 days or right around that 100-day timeline. So that is one thing that will be helpful, because what they're saying is if we can get about 70 to 75, almost 80% of people fully vaccinated, we'll see a drastic downturn in the numbers of daily COVID cases. Even in the state, we're starting to get underneath the 1,000. We were at, hovering around 2,000 or so a few months back, 1,400, 1,500 each day. the past few days, we've gone under 1,000. I remember the other day was around like 800 and something, 854 or so that were diagnosed with COVID on a daily basis. So that number is going down. The vaccination is working, y'all. And if you want to go out, make sure still keep wearing a mask, still keep yourself protected. Doesn't mean you go out there and you act crazy, you don't care, but get vaccinated if you can. And not only that, but also still be careful, still wear a mask, still wash your hands, and try to keep the distance when you are out in public as much as you can to adhere to that, because those guidelines will still help. Because just because you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean the next person next to you is. So if you accidentally caught COVID, you can still pass it on, even though you are vaccinated. So that is still out there. But being vaccinated will make sure that the reactions that might happen to your body will not be as bad as it was before the vaccine is in your system. So make sure you do get vaccinated. Let's increase the number. That's a third of the country. We have, the census says we have close to 370 something million people in the U.S. So let's get more people vaccinated.
A third of the country got vaccinated.
A third, yeah, about a third right now. So you're looking at about, census was like, we have 364 million people, the last census. So 100 million is fully vaccinated. So if we can get by, let's say, the fall, we can get up to the 200, 250 range. That'll be awesome. And then by the end of the year, if you could get even close to the 300 million, that would be amazing. So that next year, 2022, we're not still doing this. We're not in our basement. I can be out looking across the table at Bernadine, yelling at her for stupid stuff that we get into arguments and everything about.
I've been good. No more yelling at me. Getting old, y'all. I'm getting more and more every day. Not even doing
what happened?
I'm just getting older. Just getting older. You know what it is? Honestly, school has destroyed me and work. I mean, I love all of the above, but time has been taken. And then just managing personal life and once the world, I'm still gonna sing my theme song like I'm coming up.
Oh God.
Turn up and have a good time when it happens. But I'm also looking for, honestly, this is gonna be my first summer in my house. So I'm looking forward to enjoying my home. In a different capacity, like sitting outside underneath the stars, in the patio, grilling a little bit. So
did you get a grill yet? You didn't get a grill?
I'm not in a rush the same way. I think that being in COVID for so long has had me be like, okay, this is cool. Because I don't even know what a turnip's going to be like anymore. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I think people will party more. People, I think, is going to enjoy life.
More? I think people are going to be more low-key socially more.
No, I think it's actually going to get, like, worse. Have you seen the streets? Like, people go out right now. You go down south, you go anywhere. People go out. People have parties, like, not wearing masks, celebrating and everything like that. So it is going to get crazy. I think when we're like, hey, you're free to roam, you're free to do whatever, people are going to travel a lot more. You have people that are holding vacations that haven't gone on vacation in over a year. People like me, I'm just like, excuse me, I will take multiple vacations. I don't care. Yeah. I'm taking a month off. I'm taking a week off every month so I can have any more. So, yeah, people are going to go crazy. Like crazy.
I feel like it's gonna be a combination. I think what's gonna happen too is there's a new generation of folks who are gonna be social right now, right? So like so the pandemic was also that time where a lot of like students in their first years of college or whatever the case may be happened virtually. And I think there's a whole new subset of graduates that have happened that people don't really know, like haven't really social, like just haven't celebrated the end, like that milestone, that transition. So I think to that point, there'll definitely be those moments. But I do also think that there's some people who are like, you know what? I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna sit this one out. Like I think it's gonna be
I'm talking about when people can go out. They're like, hey, you can go out. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, because even now, right? I don't think you're not restricted to wear masks the same way outside in Massachusetts.
Outside, but
But that makes a difference because again, people are gonna dine out. Like it's the summertime. Boston looks totally different in the summertime than it does in the winter and then the fall, right? So people, I definitely agree that a lot of people are gonna be out more. Like I mean, already on sunny days, you go down 95 and you're just
it was traffic the other day. I was like, it's
I'm like, how did
Saturday.
we get here? It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, but it's just like people are like, son, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out. But so I feel like yes, but then again to that, I think that people are also gonna say like, you know what, this still might be a little too early to do some things, and people are gonna wait it out. But I think it's interesting though, just having like fall is gonna be a crazy year. So we talked about baby boomers back in the day. We got COVID boomers, okay, and I can't wait for us to coin them and know that I'm coining them as COVID boomers
COVID
because
boomers,
the amount of friends and people I know personally who are having children due in September.
Yeah.
Children due in October. I'm like, all of y'all were super thankful come October, November. Everybody was saying grace to their loved ones for Thanksgiving and made babies. So I'm like, people's families have also increased during COVID.
Yes.
So
yes.
like, let's get ready for this wave of human beings that are
I have like you said too, I have another wave of like friends and family members that are like, oh, I feel like from January till not even January, from like February, the past couple of months, almost every week we've had some news. Oh, guess who's pregnant? Oh, guess who's pregnant? So yeah, that's definitely gonna have a lot more COVID babies, a lot more size in families. I mean, that's a great thing, expand the families. We get to celebrate, bring some more children into this earth. Hopefully, that'll be a good thing. I don't mind on there, but we'll see. I like the COVID baby term. I actually name them that.
I'm telling you, COVID boomers. It just makes sense because it's also just like it's thinking about the children that were created like specifically during COVID makes such a difference. I think it just identifying like who they are, who do they become, like what do they do, what are their families like. I think, especially because again, like right now, like people are pregnant, also getting the vaccine. So I'm like, are we gonna create these like bionic mega babies? Like I don't know. Like, are we gonna have like teenage mutant humans? Like I don't know. Like, I'm so serious.
I wouldn't take the pregnancy. If you were somebody's pregnant, I wouldn't take that. I'm sorry. I'm like,
I know people who have it because it just goes and it goes naturally to your child from good.
Yeah, I know, but still, I would have held off if there was a vaccine and I was pregnant or my wife was pregnant. I would be like, yeah, let's hold off until after the kid comes.
Teenage mutant humans are coming, and COVID boomers. I'm like ready for it. It's gonna happen. But let me ask you this. Right? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you heard the term here first. Collective COVID boomers.
Listen, and don't forget my teenage mutant. No,
I don't want. I don't want to call children that. I don't want to call children that.
I'm trying to tell you, people like to have these kids, and they're gonna be like 3 months climbing on walls. Kids. You're gonna be like, yeah, what are you doing? Taking the kid for a walk, but the kid's walking you because they can do that at 18 months. Like,
God.
Just get ready. But I say, on the spirit of really thinking about COVID and how we are in fact transitioning, right? Like we came from the like we're still in spring. We're getting closer to the summer. What would you say is like a summer COVID goal that you have?
Summer COVID goal? Wow. I haven't really like had a goal set in mind for the summer. I definitely want to go out more because I felt like last summer I was just inside the whole summer. So I do want to go out more. I want to go camping, which is something I've always wanted to do, but never had the time to do it. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I do this. So probably do these smaller activities with family members and everything like that couldn't do last year, especially now too having more kids around, bring the kids together more.
I was going to say more kids. I was like, wait, what?
No. Whoa. Don't do that. No.
Over babies times 2.
No. You want to tell me something? Exactly. So don't do that. But yeah, having more children around, so having them interact with each other, get to know each other more, hang out with each other. I can't wait for that. That's probably going to be the thing that definitely what I'm looking forward to this summer. What about you?
Awesome. I would say 2 things. One is definitely, like I said, enjoying my home more in the summer. Like I think I want to utilize like my outside space and just be in my yard and just be like a local resident. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna try it. I think my street is really gross, or can be really gross and dirty. No shade to my neighbors, but I'm throwing shade to my neighbors.
Really?
Yes, and I'm like, I don't have a fence or a gate at my house, which I'm probably gonna install soon.
Mm.
And I'm like, where does all this trash come from? Because it's not coming from me. So I'm gonna do a street cleanup. So I'm looking forward to being the annoying neighbor where they're like,
you're gonna be one of those.
yes, that is me, and I'm wearing it with a badge of honor. So for anybody who lives in Hyde Park, I'm not gonna put my street name out there right now, but
best of
you're
luck.
gonna see me knock on a door, and you're gonna see me say, "Grab a rake, grab a broom." We clean up our streets. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm also really looking forward to, again, the fitness statement, right? So like when Will's just like, I'm getting back, Martin Lawrence, like he had a picture with his kids and he put on some weight. Like I'm like, it's a real thing. And so I want to get back to that positioning of health and wellness. And I say like my 2.5 is also just relaxing so that, I go back to school and I'm like ready to be there and ready to juggle it all.
Okay. Well,
so safety for some backyard escapades though. And I see you're gonna have to come through.
Yeah, well, I'll think about it. But anyway. Anyways, Collective, as you know, we always have a guest lined up for you to interview. Let me add the guest on, and Bernadine will do the introduction.
Awesome. I cannot wait.
Hello.
Hello. All right. How are you?
I am very well. How are you guys?
Good. So glad to have you. For those of you who don't know, part of our segment at the Urban Collective show is to highlight amazing and phenomenal individuals in the greater Boston community who are doing like so much great work and have so many talents deserving of being highlighted. And so tonight we'd like to introduce you all to event designer Aisha James, who was born on February 24th, 1981. Fellow Pisces in the room. The African-American native of Cambridge, Massachusetts, is the founder and lead designer of Boston-based event design firms Endless Flair Events. Her dynamic and unique style is unbridled, ranging from classical to avant-garde concepts, producing work that is much celebrated and vastly on demand. From her diverse portfolio of unique design themes for nuptials, community, and political events like the election night, celebration of high-profile individuals, spare no expense. With regards to the creation for public figures, she has founded and established her own niche as a creator of masterful backdrops. Y'all know y'all love your backdrops, especially with them selfies. Against which memories can remain tethered to life celebratory high points. Her creative work speaks for itself and has been featured in numerous publications. I'm so excited for you. Congrats. Aisha is also the mother to 5-year-old Christian Jones, is a devout believer. She believes her calling is to assist the disenfranchised in discovering greatness and purpose by building self-esteem and confidence. This work has inspired her commitment to be a Chica Project mentor, which is a great organization, a youth and leadership development nonprofit. She has been recognized for her philanthropic work within the city of Boston, where she is the preferred event designer for Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley on personal and community-based events. Again, our local community inspirations. In 2019, Aisha launched The Art of the Table, an exclusive gala and a practicum training seminar for aspiring event industry professionals. So Aisha, you do so much. We are so excited to have you. Say hello to the people.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. That was a long bio. Girl,
you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. You're like, I was here, I was there, I'm a little bit everywhere. Shout out to Ayanna. Shout out to your son.
Thank you.
Mentorship. So we're so excited to have you and to learn more about you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Share your story. So, and I see, do you want to just start with the first question?
Yeah, of course. Thank you again, Aisha, for being on. I wanted to ask you, so in the beginning or when you were younger, did you foresee yourself getting into this field? And if you did, what made you pivot towards that?
I did not. I actually thought I wanted to be a nurse. So I worked in healthcare for 17 years and went to school for medical assisting because my mom was a nurse. And so I said, I love to help people. And I'm like, my calling is probably a nurse. When I went to school for medical assisting, I did my internship at Boston Medical Center. And then I said, I don't want to be a nurse. But I did love helping people. So I worked at Boston Medical Center for 17 years. I stopped working there in 2019 and decided to do event design full time. But throughout my tenure there, I did produce Broadway style fashion shows, always did designing for family only. So I didn't have a portfolio. And when I decided that I wanted to do this, I applied for some well-known event design companies, and they said I didn't have a degree, so they wouldn't hire me. However, there is no degree in design, event design, that is, or event planning. I mean, you can go to school for hospitality. However, this is a God-given talent. So in that moment, I didn't think that I was going to start this company that was going to flourish into this. It was really starting it to create a portfolio to work for someone else. And fast forward, I had my son. And when I thought about working for someone else, which would require me to work 80 hours a week, or for myself, I determine how much I'm going to work, so I'm involved in his life. It made more sense for me to continue with Endless Flair, and now I'm here.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So you talked about juggling again, right? Well, one, following your passions, right? So somebody's just telling you, oh, well, you don't have this credential. And you're like, well, when it's a God-given talent, it's a God-given talent. I don't need a credential for that. Right. And then also just managing and balancing what it's like to be a mom, but again, fulfilling your passions and your interests, but then also just making sure that you put yourself out there. What has been, like, can you talk to us a little bit more about, like, what kind of sacrifices have gone into your ability to really fulfill your passions? Like, what have you had to compromise on to make sure that you are where you are right now?
Well, I can see, since I've been doing this since August of 2019 full time. So I left BMC initially because I never planned to leave. Although God was telling me 2 years ago to leave, you know, the consistency of having, or the comfort of having a consistent paycheck. And now I have this young boy that I have to care for. I was full of fear, and I didn't. But in 2019, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So I was out on leave. And remind you, I was there 17 years. And while I was out on leave, I worked in finance. I was a manager of 60 staff. After the 3 months, they posted my job. Wow. And I'm in union. So I guess that made a decision. I could have went back to another department or whatever it was. So I decided to take the leap of faith then. I don't feel as though I really sacrificed. I just didn't take the event design or Endless Flair as serious as I do now. Although I've worked up until this point, so I've done stuff every single year, my priorities were different. My priority was really just to provide for my son. And again, I had fear as to, am I capable of owning a company and it being successful? And when I decided to bet on myself, that's what got me here. Now, I've been seeding into myself for over 15 years. Event design for the last 6. But as I said, I did Broadway style fashion shows. I used to promote. So a lot of things where my name was already out there as a creative. But this is my passion, but not my purpose. So I also do coaching for event industry folks that are just coming into the industry. So if you're an entry level event designer, planner, or you need to build your self-esteem, confidence, I do coach. For years, I mentored my staff for free. And now I charge for sessions through Endless Coaching.
Okay. I like that. Because that's something that this industry, like you said, there's not really, you could go to school or anything like that. So for people getting started, would you suggest that they do an internship or go underneath something like you and find somebody that can help coach them through it, or just dig in and just get started and learn on the job?
No, definitely volunteer. I tell anyone that I coach that is just starting, volunteer. Find an event planner, designer, wedding planner, because they're all different. And a lot of people don't even know that they're different. I do not plan. I am a designer. Planners do logistics. So one, we break down what the difference is and what their niche is and how to create their brand. And then I tell them to start volunteering for people, whether it's me or anyone else, because of course, hands-on experience is the best, right? And this may not be a field that you really want to get into. It's high stress and you really can't deal with it. It's not for you. And your best bet is to intern first, or yes, find a coach like me. What I've learned is that people are not transparent and they don't want to help someone with the fear of them doing better than them. a faith believer that what's for me is for me, and anyone that I can help. Of course, you're not going to give away every single gem, but I give away enough that they will be successful.
Got it.
So get yourself a coach, definitely a mentor. If you have to pay for it, I pay for a life coach. Do that. But I am also, like, right now I opened it up that I would have volunteers. So right now I have volunteers for each of my events, and I have about 15 coming up that I'm allowing them to volunteer. And while they're volunteering, they can ask me questions, which is free coaching.
Right. Thank you so much. And I also want to go back to thanking you for your transparency and your honesty and your authenticity, right? With regards to, your experience when you were at BMC. So it's just like, just to know that you again were somewhere for 17 years. And then after taking that time of self-care, right, given a diagnosis, you were in a position where you're like, hey, I need to take this time off. And then they posted your position, which I would imagine like some probably like union contracting thing if they did it after 3 months. But nonetheless, right, it's almost like you've been here for so long, and like this is where we are now, right? You talk about that level of fear that exists, which I think is so real for so many of us, whether or not we want to acknowledge the truth behind it, right? That fear in many ways propels us forward. In that same breath, fear can also hold us back. And so here you are recognizing the importance of prioritizing yourself and your son, but then pouring into your business. Can you talk to us a bit about how your business has in fact manifested itself and has grown during this time of COVID, right? Because going full time in 2019 and now we just hit 2021, I could only imagine like whoop whoop events, let's go, and then it's like virtual cheese.
Wow.
So what was that like?
It's weird because I don't really like to say it because I know last year was very unfortunate for a lot of people. Last year was my best year yet of life. I made the most money last year than I ever have at BMC or with Endless Flair. So it was good. In February of last year, right before COVID, I launched my in-home dining, which I bring in 2 chefs, 2 servers, myself to create a beautiful tablescape, but give you this experience for up to 10 people. Perfect for COVID because you can't have a lot of people in your house. You don't want a lot of people in your house. So I did really well with that. And that's more of what I'm pushing this year. So last year was really good. God was good to me. And I think that's because I pour so much into people. And he's been telling me that you're holding on to this little thing, but I have so much more for you if you just let it go. Right. And so sometimes I believe that even when God's telling us to do something, we don't do it. He's going to remove us from that situation so he can bring us where we want to go or where he sees us going. So there's a plan for our lives. And if you don't do it, sometimes he makes the decision for you. So I say that to say I bet it on myself to not apply for a job and go back. And it was the best year. I made the most money ever. I poured back into the community more than ever last year. I did dinners for the seniors. I kind of adopted a family of 11 that I was able to support financially throughout that time. So it was my best year, honestly.
Wow, that's good. Congratulations! Yeah, congrats on that. I've had the chance to attend one of the private events that she did for a friend of mine's for a birthday. So it was amazing. So I don't want to put their business out there, but no, it was a great event that I attended. Going back to events in general, so doing private events and doing regular events for people, I know sometimes clients are coming to you, they might have a theme, or you might have that person that comes to you and say, I don't know what I want, I just want something great. Which one do you like? Do you like that customer that comes to you with a theme and they want that specific theme, or somebody that comes out and says, just make it look nice, I believe in you, or whatever?
So my clients really don't have too much say. So what my clients say is I either have a theme, or I have a theme in colors, or I just have colors. I put the disclaimer out there in the beginning that I work a lot different than anyone else. I can think outside the box if you don't give me a whole bunch of stuff that you want. So I get to know my clients and what they want, how they want to feel when they walk into a space. Of course, they want to be wowed. But not one of my clients have ever seen their decor prior to an event. I don't do mood boards. I don't do mock-ups, even for my weddings. So if you're hiring me, you're trusting me, right? You've seen the stuff on my page and you're coming to me because you feel as though I'm an expert in this area and I'm going to wow you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I'm hard on myself. And if I don't like a design, I'll redesign it multiple times because of that. Sometimes it's probably more pressure on me to make sure someone loves it, but I'm grateful so far. Everyone has loved their events. I've never had anyone that wasn't pleased, but I operate that way. But I know other people do mock-ups and mood boards for their clients and let them say, yeah, I like this. No, I don't. I think that's a little bit more difficult for me because I see the vision. And if I showed you this chair with this wall and this balloon, you can't envision it. So you're probably going to say, I don't like that, but I know what the overall is going to look like and I know you're going to love it. So I don't have really that stress. You tell me your colors, you tell me your theme, and I just run with it.
Oh my gosh. I'm like that hearing you. I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm like, ooh, I gotta do something with you. And then I'm also like panicking because I'm like, I can't see anything until it's done, which I'm just nosy. I'll be like, what's over there? What happened? You know, like if I saw you at on the street somewhere at a store, I'd be like, what's in that bag? Like it's my business.
And the difference with me is the majority of my events are custom. You will never have an event that someone else had. Not one of my clients, not anyone else here in Boston or anywhere else. Everything is going to be customized for you, and any custom pieces you get to keep. So I'm not repeating designs or reusing decor, things of that nature. So you wouldn't know what I'm doing with the stuff that you make.
I love it. I'm sitting here like, what am I gonna do next?
We have an audience question real quick though. According to that, they're asking, how do you deal with the anxiety, especially when your clients are stressing out?
My clients do not stress me. So we have a clear, no, I'm so serious and I'm not kidding.
I love that. I love it.
There's some of my clients on here because I've seen the comments, some of the comments that popped up. They can tell you they don't stress me. So that if they have reoccurring payments, they just send me their payment. It's a trust thing, right? So once you build that trust with your client, because I may not be for everyone and that's okay. Because every client's not my client and I'm not the right person for everyone. But if you're hiring me, you're trusting me. And my clients, honestly, do not stress me. The most stress comes from sitting with my vendors so that they get my my designs correct. Because I outsource everything. When I first started, of course, I didn't have the budgets that I have now. And I'm sitting here spray painting everything, reusing stuff. But I've worked my way up to this point where all my vendors are Black and brown. I'm very proud of that. All of my vendors are Black and brown. And sometimes you're sitting with a vendor for 2 hours for them to get what's in your head correct. But my clients don't stress me at all. I have amazing clients. I really do.
I love that. Right? So being able to also, I think, us establishing that level of boundaries and understanding, like, listen, like you said, it's the trust. So when you're signing up to work with Aisha, you are signing up to say, do you, and I'm going to just pay the fees and the due and show up that day. I want to go back, though, to a comment you made earlier where, you know, you talked about the importance of mentorship and supporting somebody and giving advice. But we do live in a world where there is still that, like, that same way, particularly I like to call out the Black and brown community for women, where we're still operating underneath that conditioning that there's not enough room at the top for all of us, right? And so it's like we're competing with each other or maybe aren't necessarily the most supportive. Can you talk to us about what your experience has been like specifically as a Black woman designer in the city of Boston or in the greater city of Boston with regards to community partnership support from, I'd say, from your peers, like Black women, but anybody, right? But I definitely want to understand like what it's been like for you amongst other Black women who put on events.
I have some friends in this industry and others, I mean, not so much. I feel like there's just fear amongst us. Like, I don't think we really know how to come together, you know, and I think because we're intimidated, we choose or assume someone is a certain way. They think they're better than or whatever. So we don't even take the initiative to speak. And that's why I target the people that are just starting in the industry to change that dynamic and build community within the event industry so that we can get more comfortable asking these questions, because a lot of us deal with the same issues, but we have no one to turn to. Or what clients do is they'll take an email and they'll copy and paste it to every one of us. But if we communicated better, we could say, okay, this is what I quoted this client. This is what we should all be charging so that we can get paid for the services and it's not free. I'm just really at this point of trying to build community and get a realistic price point for minorities, because when we look at other races, they're bringing home way more than we are. And we're just so catty because we want to compete versus working with each other, because there's enough clients, there's enough events. But working in the city of Boston is very difficult in general because it's not a city for creatives. Now, healthcare, education,
STEM,
science, whatever it is, that Boston, if I was corporate solely, if I did corporate planning, yes. But Boston is not the state for creatives. It really isn't. So yes, do I make the most out of the minority planners or designers? Absolutely, right? But it's still nowhere close to what I know I am capable of making, like my true work. It's not here. And so yes, do I plan to relocate? Absolutely.
I was gonna say, where do you look to go? Like, where do you feel like fosters this level of creativeness with regards to being a designer of events in this capacity?
So I do know I wouldn't go to New York, but New York, New Jersey are top. LA is top. Texas is big for designers.
Wow.
Florida, Miami. I go to Florida every other week because my boyfriend lives there. So I'm venturing out there in terms of business as well. And I feel like I would do well, especially with my in-home dining for the area that I would move to. But if I wanted to do full event design, Miami's right there. And people do invest in those over-the-top events there. But my mindset has shifted a little bit. My priority is in-home dining and coaching. My idea is to have at least coaching 5 days a week and also doing in-home dining, because that's more lightweight, but it's more intimate, and I appreciate those a little bit more. For my regular events, I don't stay for weddings only, but my in-home dinings, I am there because I'm creating a whole experience for those clients.
Absolutely. I love that.
One thing I wanted to kind of go back on and touch on was how you're saying that, you have a son and learning how to balance your time, being an entrepreneur, and in the field that you're in, events are happening on weekends. Your weekends are probably busy. You're teaching and you're coaching during the week and everything. So how do you find that time? And now that you said you have a boyfriend that's out of state,
I'm like, woo,
everything right now.
So my son's father is very supportive. What we do is like week on, week off. So it works. And so the whole month of June, July, I have events every single weekend. So what I would do is his dad would have him on the weekend, and that means I'd have him throughout the week. So I don't miss the time with him. He's 5 and going on 6 in September, and he'll start to play sports. And when that happens, then I'll adjust my schedule. Because my biggest thing, and what I see a lot of adults, that traumatic thing that they talk about, especially men that don't like to talk about it too much, but you can hear it, that their parents weren't able to attend games and go to a white school. Both parents are there and they have the support, and we don't. And we push it off because we don't talk about what it does to us mentally. And, that childhood trauma, we grow up with that as adults and we don't know why we behave certain ways. I don't want that for my son. I think whatever he experiences in life, I don't want it to be because I inflicted those things onto him. So he is my priority, and I can decide when I want to take events or not. And I know that's why I'm choosing in-home dinings over full event design, because in-home dining can happen any day of the week. It doesn't have to be, it's a birthday or an anniversary. It could be a just because. And I've had those just because, and I control my schedule.
I love that. Thank you so much, right? Again, about making sure that your son knows that he's a priority, and that he's of importance, and that you don't miss out on his major significant events, right? Because I think that what you're talking about is oftentimes what parents struggle with, or it's oftentimes not even what's spoken about, because you're almost ashamed and embarrassed, right? To say like, well, I want to follow my dreams, even though you have a child, right? And it's just like, no. But by me following my dreams as a parent, I hope to inspire my child to follow their dreams too. Like you said in the beginning, you went into the field of nursing because your mom was a nurse, right? And then yours like, this is not necessarily for me, but I love helping people, right? And you love being supportive of people. And so it's truly important, I'd say, to parents out there. And I know I'm speaking as a person who's not a parent, but from the friends that I do have who are truly doing the best that they can by their children, stay true to follow your dreams too. Because your children will be able to watch you do that, even in the highs and lows and the sacrifices you make. Like that's a realistic approach to parenting that we need to be able to expose our children to.
And I'm also aware that everyone doesn't have the support system, right? So my son's father is supportive, but some people just have themselves, and they honestly can't. So you have to just try to figure out a balance. And I think it gets a little bit easier as your kids get older, but some people just do not have a support system. And it really does take a village.
Yes.
To be able to do things, especially entrepreneurship is very demanding.
I could only imagine, again, like speaking as an entrepreneur myself, a full-time worker and a student, I'm like, there's just no time. But you make it work. You try, right? Even if you, like my eyes are red sometimes. Sometimes I'm on air. People are just like, are you all right? And I'm like, I'm just surviving, y'all. I'm here. But with that, right? So talk to us about your design. So like what has been like your favorite? Like if you could think about, like if you could like rank like your top 5 events or themes or concepts that you put together, like what would you say they were? And then I'd also flip it and say, what would you say was like your least? So like, even though you said your clients have always been satisfied, like have you ever been like, ugh, like I actually wasn't happy. I'm happy you happy, but I'm not happy.
Yes, when I first started. When I look back at that stuff, I'm like, oh my goodness, this was trash. But I mean, it wasn't. It was where I started, right? We all have a journey, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I could do so much better. I mean, I've evolved as a designer as well. When you know better, you do better, right? I didn't know, and I didn't have those budgets. So it's like so far off to think I could hang my own florals from the ceiling, put up drapery and all of these other things when I first started. So I would say my earlier work is probably my least favorite. All of my events from last year, I would say are my favorite. My workshop, Art of the Table, was my 2nd year last year. And I blew myself out of the way. I cried like for days and days and days because I seen myself there on my 5th year with that transformation, right? It was a blank warehouse. If you go on my page, you'll see it. Blank warehouse, and I transformed the entire thing. And that's where I seen myself on my 5th year. But it's what I want to do. I want to hang florals in my own chandeliers and put up walls and floors and be able to have those kind of budgets. So to do that early on was great. Every event I did last year was honestly my favorite, and it's more than 5.
That's amazing. Well, I wish you nothing but success, continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
For real, because I'm like, that's really what it's about, right? It's like word of mouth. And like I saw like Joanna's comment saying that you became family, like, and to your point that you mentioned earlier, like people don't see it until it's done. And I think that this is how I believe like this is what like sisterhood is all about in building business, because Joanna's somebody that I love and I appreciate and I support, right? And she's vouching for you. So then I'm like, well, then I'm gonna vouch for sis too. And I was gonna vouch for you off of face value, the fact that you a sister and we here, right? But like the added element of it is just like, again, when people we know, we trust, we work well together, we speak on certain experiences, like that matters, right? And so I also love the fact that you really are prioritizing mentorship, because again, that's truly how we change the narratives, and that's how we unpack traditional norms, is by taking the stab at saying like, hey, the traditional way of operating for us doesn't really work for us and doesn't really work for the work we're looking to do. So rather than build walls, let's build bridges and let's continue to work together. So thank you.
And then another question coming from the audience, from Brandy. So how do we improve our Boston for improved community for creatives? Can we retain talent versus having everybody go elsewhere to find better jobs?
I personally don't think Boston will ever change and be a state for creatives. We're just not structured that way here. I really don't think we can change it. I think we can build community within ourselves to build each other up. I mean, I'm talking from a mental standpoint outside of like event design, just building each other up with self-esteem and confidence in that. And then you can go anywhere, right? But I don't believe we're going to change it that Boston would be the state for creatives. If you're an artist or whatever, it's just not, even musically, anything, it's just not here. You go somewhere to make it happen. That's why there's certain states that are top for many different things. Boston's not the top for creatives.
Yeah, we don't have the budget. They do not support us. Like, there's something like, I remember when we first started the podcast, someone told us, they were like, Philadelphia compared to us, they spend millions of dollars to help young creatives. Compared to Boston, their budget is less than 7 figures in there. So it's a drastic change, not just from the people, but you have the city that's like not giving anything. So it is difficult to do that.
Even when you become a vendor of the city, because I'm a vendor of the city, and try to bid on contracts, and it's just a long process of having them even recognize you. And it's like, okay, well, I have to meet this quota. So yeah, we'll hire you for this, but you're on this list and you don't get any feedback or any clients from the city. It's just not the city for creatives, unfortunately, but I still say be great. And I feel like if you can make it here, what I've done here, that shows me that the state that is the top state for this, or any state that I move to, I can really make it happen. Because it's hard here. It's hard to sell yourself in Boston. It's like selling your soul in a sense, to like convince somebody that you're worth what you're worth. Although they see it, it's still like, yeah, no, I want you to do all this stuff for free. We have to change our mindset as well and not expect minorities to do things for free or undercut. Like if I'm saying know your worth, know people's worth, and if it's not in your budget, that's okay. I had this conversation with someone else, and it's like, oh, it's not your responsibility to tell people where they should start. No, I am, because a basic event for when you're getting rentals and everything else here should start at $4,000. That's if you don't even want to pay yourself. But that's if you have to get rentals. People are starting, because they don't know any different or any better, at $1,500. So, you know, I made the same mistake. You're spending all your own money on other people's events, you know, and so you don't know, you need someone to coach you, and it gets overwhelming. I've asked people to mentor me, not in the state, but mentor me, and they said no. I think certain people are just intimidated by that, but either way, God has me, right? I'm going to make it. If it takes me a little longer to get there, that's okay. And that's why I'm so passionate about the mentoring and the coaching, because I've asked people and they've said no.
That's it. Which I think speaks to, again, right, what you said earlier, where you're like, I'm like, event design is your passion, right? But your purpose is mentorship.
Yes.
And you hear it and you feel it, right? Because again, it's about like, yes, I'm doing what I love, but what I truly am committed to do and what I'm here for is to truly pour into other people to help them to aspire to achieve their dreams as well. And I love the comment about knowing your worth, because I've been in positions too where, you know, people have been like, yo, B, you're so talented, you're so this, like, we want you to do this for us, you know? Know your worth, but you got us for free though. And I'm like, you want me to know my worth, but then you want me to do it for free. Okay, cool. So I'm like, I don't really know where we're at in these conversations now. Don't get me wrong, because there are moments in time where of course I'm going to do something for free, right? Because it's about who my audience is, who my clients are, right? And like based on the need and based on the impact. So I'm not saying to people out there, like, don't ever do anything for free. But I think that to Aisha's comment, right? As you can, there's a level to it where you're getting your name out there, and then it's also like, no, take me seriously as a business. Take me seriously as a person who also is doing this because I love it, but also because it's my livelihood, right? And so it's finding that balance. And I think that sometimes we also need to establish boundaries with people, because they think that because you are an entrepreneur, this is all you're going to do. And so all of your time is for them. No. Just like you need to eat, sleep, and distance yourself and have balance and clock in and out of work is the same way we need to do it as well. And entrepreneurs, we don't always implement self-care, but it's necessary, right? To establish those boundaries, to have those real conversations, and to, again, understand your limitations. And where you are, again, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, and as a partner, right, you're very, very aware of all of that. And so you mentioned earlier that your 5-year goal was something that you were able to accomplish in about like year 2.
Yes.
What is now your 5-year goal then? Like, where are we looking to go in the next 5 years of this life?
I plan, not even on an event design level. So of course, doing in-home dining here and most likely Florida. But speaking on platforms. So my biggest fear, which I'm not going to say is my fear anymore, that I've overcome, my first year doing my workshop was my first time ever holding a mic. So I have this fear of like public speaking. And so I'm pushing myself to even do these now. So I'm like, yeah, the more people that ask, I'm just going to say, yeah, you know, just to get experience, because that was my biggest thing. But God has been calling me to do that for a while. And just that fear of, you know, judgment. Although I'm very confident, it's still like, what if you say something that doesn't make sense? Or you use a word in the wrong context? It's just overthinking, right? But so what? So what if you do, right? So I have to keep telling myself that. Like, so what? It's okay. So it's really traveling, speaking on platforms, speaking to young girls, people, especially in this industry, and doing what I'm doing here in Boston, but from state to state.
I love that. From state to state. I'm supportive of it. And I see, take it away.
Yeah. So for me, my last question for you is, from the past events that you've been doing over the past year, what has been the ones that are most memorable to you?
That's a really difficult question for me, because I just feel like each event I try to outdo myself, but I still loved it. The thing is, I love my clients. So the majority of my clients become family. They invite me to holidays and things that have nothing to do with me designing, like just coming over their house, let me cook for you. So it's like everything is so special. But I would really say my workshop, which was Art of the Table, because it was a complete transformation. Like I really need you guys to look at the video because it was very emotional for me to be able to do that. And with the support of all my vendors, right? All my vendors working with me. It was probably like a $50,000 workshop, right? So that, and then the baby shower right before that. When my clients have these huge budgets, it just makes me go crazy because it's like, oh my God, now I can do something that I've never done before. Everything is going to be pretty, but certain events, I'm doing things that I've never done before because I can transform the room in ways that I've never been able to because I didn't have the budget. So I would say the baby shower that I did in October of last year, my workshop in November, and I just did a birthday party in, I think it was last month, where I was able to afford a whole bunch of custom props and things like that. Those kind of events are going to always be my favorite in terms of design. I love them all, right? I would never give anybody something that I absolutely do not love, but those are the ones that I can really think outside the box because I have the money to create stuff versus just getting rentals.
Absolutely. I love it. My last question to you would be, in this work, as you're pouring into other people, you also need to be poured into, right? So what does pouring into Ieasha look like, and who inspires Ieasha and mentors Ieasha in this work to continue to persist?
Okay. So what I do all the time, every day, is pray, recite my affirmations. I do a whole self-care thing, even with the people that I coach. My affirmations are on my mirror. They're in my bathroom. There's an alarm that just went off. There's alarms that go off in my phone every single hour with a different affirmation. I pray throughout the day. I go to the beach. So by the water is where I feel, or in nature, I feel closest to God. I'm a very emotional being, and I never noticed that until after I had my son, because I, just like everyone else, had this childhood trauma. And I was so hard. And then after I had my son, I had to learn how to love differently, you know, and soften up a little. So now I'm way more emotional than I've ever been in my life. So I do things like go to the beach and just sit and be, turn off my phone, affirmations, pray, all of that works for me. I'm on this journey of learning how to meditate because I am seeking joy, not happiness, because happiness is in moments. And when things are not going right, then you're unhappy and you want this. And then it comes from a place that you're not grateful for what you have currently. So I'm trying to reach joy, which is everlasting, and always see the positive in things. So I'm halfway there. I've done a lot of work to get there. But I've noticed that I've done a lot of growth work and not healing work. And this is why certain things trigger me that I thought I was healed from, because I didn't do enough healing work and I thought they were the same, and they're not. So I've grown past that point, but I'm still healing that little bit.
Yeah, still hurts.
Figuring those things out now and getting to the root cause and healing that. But for the most part, I'm generally happy. Helping people makes me happy, but I learned that I need to be poured into as well. And my family does a great job with that, and my boyfriend, you know, because it's a need now, and I didn't need it before, but I need it now, and you know, they rise to the occasion.
I love that. And then, and then I would say that, you know, I would imagine then that Chica Project is very much part of that, right? Because in order to give to somebody else, you have to be able to provide for yourself, and as you're as you're navigating your life and your journey. So what has it been like to mentor somebody else or people? I'm not sure how many people you mentor, what the process is like for you with the Chica Project. But
I would say my mentoring comes more from my clients' coaching. With Chica Project, I'm in the community-based Chica Project, which is group-led. And you have an impact, but I feel like I have more of an impact, one, on my old staff at BMC, because I still check on some of them and we still talk and I still mentor them, but also my clients that I coach. I feel like I have a bigger impact on them than the community based with Chica Project. Chica Project is absolutely amazing. The work that they're doing is phenomenal. I say anyone pour into them, they're doing the work, right? And they're here for advancing Black and brown young girls. They really are. And it's great mentoring them because you become a resource for them. But I feel as though my clients, I mentor more and really see their growth from where they started to where they are now.
I love that. And then I would just want to cheer you on with your journey of growth and healing. That's nothing but a word, sis, and I support that wholeheartedly, right? Where there truly is a difference between growth and healing, right? And so growth is that next level, like where are we going, what are we accomplishing? But I almost want to say it's like not that it is materialistic items, but it is more surface based, right?
Yes.
Where it's just like it's the external, it's the navigation, it's the cerebral, but the healing process is from the heart, it's from the soul, in a way where you are doing those, you are ugly crying without recognizing you ugly crying, hyperventilating without understanding where this hyperventilation is coming from. You are like anti people with the stank attitude because you're just like in a funk, and that's a real one. And don't just run from it, but acknowledge it. But then also to your comment, like, but when you are in that moment of joy, can't nobody take that from you, right? Because you're truly there.
Right.
For any of you who are navigating life and are persisting through just, again, highs and lows, and are still as an adult unpacking your childhood life, like really, really pour into that young version of yourself by taking the time to acknowledge that who you are as the older version of yourself is exactly who you need to be to continue to go where you want to be and where you are destined to go and be. So I support that.
Aisha, for the collective, let everyone know where they can follow you if they want to book you. Also, all your social media platforms, where they can follow you online also.
Great. You guys can follow me on Endless Flair. It's Endless Flair is spelled Flair. That's my Instagram. Same on Facebook, or if you wanted to book an event, endlessflairevents.com.
All right. Thank you very much for
thank you
coming
so much
on
for
this
having me.
evening. Oh, you're very welcome.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Aisha, again, for being here, for sharing your authentic and transparent story with regards to being an event designer, what that truly looks like, but then also taking us on a trip of your personal story and a personal narrative and how you came to be here. Going through a moment of life where you were combating and persisting through fear, to be able to balance again and understand the importance of prioritizing your child, your passions, your purpose, and navigating the differences in between. And a personal, intimate relationship is not an easy feat for people to do. Also, while trying to maintain and build community amongst people of color in the city of Boston, in a lane that is not often occupied by people of color. So we wish you nothing but the best. And again, thank you so much for your time and your energy. And we look forward to celebrating you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and I say next month. So good luck to you in your summers. As you say, you are booked weekend for weekend typically, and all that you're looking to do. And for those of you who want to put on an event, particularly a private dinner, or even want to attend some of Aisha's workshops and pour into your heart and your soul with other people, be sure to follow her.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed week. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right, collective. So it's always a good time to be with all of you. So as always, if you're looking to stay connected with the Urban Collective Show, we encourage you all to follow us at the Urban Collective Show on Instagram. Y'all, I never know our Twitter name, but it is Twitter. It is at the UC Show 3. So I love that. So please follow us on Twitter. And thank you so much, Brandy, for your commentary. And for everybody who was commentating during this conversation, Celeste, Shirley, Joanna, Janine. I'm like, people, like this is what we're talking about here, right? When it comes to the collective. And I see so many of you as like women of color, Black women at that. And Kevin had started off saying what's up to us. So Kevin, without a doubt, always much love to you too. But yes, I was saying follow us on all of our platforms. If you're looking to email us at the urbancollectiveshow@gmail.com. Feel free to ask us any questions you may like. If you want to be on our show, if you have somebody who you think that it's important to be highlighted on the Urban Collective Show for all of their contributions, some unsung heroes, please just send the recommendations our way. We are, in fact, here for you. Here at the Urban Collective Show, we do it for the city and we do it for the culture.
Yes. As you know, always with the Urban Collective, we like to end the show with a motivational quote. So this Sunday, as we all know, it's going to be Mother's Day. So shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to every single mother. Me having a newborn, I've seen how much mothers have to sacrifice. So happy Mother's Day to my lovely wife and to all the family members that are out there. But we have a quote based for Mother's Day. Goes like this. They're out to be a hall of fame for mamas, creation's most unique and precious pearls. In heaven, help us always to remember that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That is by Glenn Kimball and Steve Warner. So thank you again to all the mothers. God bless. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the day. Get pampered and enjoy the day. I wish everyone the best Mother's Day this weekend. And catch you guys in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, y'all. And I would be remiss if I didn't just say to also recognize the women who are out there trying to conceive and struggle to conceive. I can only imagine how difficult a Mother's Day could be, especially if you have conceived and you lost a child. I'd like to bring those people into this space, into this conversation, because again, I think you are just as important as the people who have had these children and those who adopt as well. You are very much part of this conversation, part of this celebration, if in fact this is something that you want, given the sensitive times and given the sensitive territory that this is. And to women out there who are choosing to not ever have children, that is also okay. And so I want to bring that into this space too, as a collective show, and recognizing that when we're celebrating Mother's Day, we are celebrating our women for what it means to be a woman. So we see you, we hear you, we love you, and we thank you. So it's your girl Bernstein Truth checking out.
Yes, you've been in IC, and make sure Collective to share the show on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. We are on every single podcast platform out there, from iTunes to everything. So make sure to share the show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Deuces.
Bye.